Hello there, it's Dusty Thunder with a story from AITA for you. This one is titled, Am I the Astronaut for Breaking My Husband's Golf Clubs After He Left Me Alone with Our Newborn Twins? Oh shit, here we go. I, 28 female, recently gave birth to our twin babies, a boy, Oliver, and a girl, Lily. They're almost 9 weeks old now, and while I'm overjoyed to be a mom, I've never felt more physically and emotionally drained in my life. I suffered from postpartum hemorrhage right after delivery and lost so much blood that I had to be rushed into emergency surgery. I nearly died. I was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks recovering. The physical recovery has been brutal, but the emotional toll is even worse, and I feel like I'm drowning every single day. My husband, Matt, 32 male, was helpful while I was recovering in the hospital, but once we got home, he checked out. He works a 9-to-5 job, but instead of helping when he's home, he escapes to his man cave to play video games or go out with friends. This guy has no clue what having a baby is about. Just because we didn't carry or birth the baby doesn't mean that we get to do that shit, bros. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and give him this right now, too. Holy, okay. I'm left alone to care for the twins, and the exhaustion has become unbearable. I've been having terrible complications from the hemorrhage, constant pain, weakness, and intense anxiety. I still can't walk properly without getting dizzy, and breastfeeding has been a nightmare. Lily struggles to latch, which leads to bleeding nipples, and every feeding session feels like torture. You got the brozo and the laughter. And that would be for a normal pregnancy. Like, you have a complicated pregnancy with lots of issues to deal with after the fact here, and you're exponentially worse. I've tried to ask Matt for help, but every time I do, he brushes me off. His go-to excuse is that I'm on maternity leave, and this is what moms do. He says he needs to decompress after work and that I should be grateful he's working to provide for us. Meanwhile, I'm lucky if I get 30 minutes of sleep in between feedings, and I'm running on pure adrenaline at this point. Last week, after another exhausting day with no help, I tried to talk to him about how I felt like I was drowning. His response? He asked when we were going to start having sex again. He said it's been 2 months and I'm getting frustrated.
You do. You.
Oh, just like, what the... But having kids will show you how selfish you really are, right? Well, it didn't take this guy long at all. It's like, I want to play video games, I don't want to have sex. Kids are getting in the way. I was speechless. My body hasn't even fully healed from the traumatic birth, and he was acting like I was depriving him. When I tried to explain how much pain I was still in, both physically and emotionally, he rolled his eyes and said, "Other women bounce back after having babies. It's not that hard. You got to stop using it as an excuse." Okay, we'll go ahead and go all the way to Ask Con 1, and there's more to the story, but this guy just hit the ceiling. What? Like, I don't even understand how someone can be this dumb. I don't understand how someone can be this dumb and this selfish. I don't understand. Make it make sense. I felt so ashamed in that moment, like I wasn't good enough, wasn't recovering fast enough, wasn't being enough for him. It's not like I didn't want to be intimate with him again. I missed the closeness we used to have, but I was still bleeding occasionally, and I could barely walk without wincing. My whole body felt like it was failing me, and instead of being patient or supportive, Matt acted like I was deliberately withholding sex from him. He even tried to initiate once when I was barely 5 weeks postpartum, and I had to practically beg him to stop because it was too painful. He got frustrated and said, "Come on, it's been long enough," and huffed off like a teenager. Every time I tried to talk to him about how overwhelming things are, he'd steer the conversation back to when we'd be having sex again, like that was the only thing on his mind. This Saturday was my breaking point. The babies had been fussy all night, and I hadn't slept more than an hour in 48 hours. I was completely exhausted, and with my anemia still making me weak, I could barely stand. The incision from my surgery was throbbing with pain. Matt had left early that morning for a full day of golf with his buddies, despite knowing how rough my night had been. He said he'd be back by noon, but noon came and went, and he was still out. He was golfing at a course that was only an hour away, so I figured if things got too bad, he'd come home. Around 4 p.m., I was trying to feed Oliver while Lily was crying. My hands were shaking from sheer exhaustion, and in that moment, I almost dropped Oliver. I caught him just in time, but it scared me so badly that I collapsed on the floor in tears. I texted Matt, begging him to come home, telling him that I was scared and overwhelmed. His response, "Just put them in their cribs and rest. I'll be home later." Later turned into 9 p.m., by which time I was a complete mess. I had been alone with the twins all day with no help, no food, and no sleep. When Matt finally walked through the door, he didn't seem to care at all. He saw me sitting on the floor with the twins still crying and giggled. Yes, giggled. He looked down at me, smiling like it was all some kind of joke, and said, "You're being overdramatic. You should have just handled it." I saw red. His smug, dismissive little giggle was the final straw. In a blind rage, I grabbed his beloved golf clubs, the one he's obsessed with, and smashed them against the floor. I broke 2 of them before Matt even realized what was happening. He started screaming at me, calling me crazy and psycho for breaking something so expensive, and accusing me of losing it. After that, he stormed out of the house and spent the night at a friend's place. His best friend has since been texting me, calling me a psycho, and saying I'm unhinged for destroying his clubs. He told me that I owe Matt a huge apology for overreacting and that he's been trying his best. But has he? I'm here day after day, struggling to keep it together with 2 newborns while still recovering from a traumatic birth. I've been so weak that I've nearly dropped my baby, and Matt hasn't been around to help. He works during the week, and I understand that, but every weekend he's out golfing or with his buddies. And whenever he comes back from work, he's either watching sports or playing online games. I haven't had more than 2 hours of sleep at a time in weeks. I feel like I'm drowning. I'm starting to feel like maybe I did overreact, but at the same time, I'm so angry that he doesn't seem to care about how hard things have been for me. Am I the astronaut for breaking his golf clubs? No. Pain creates change. What is it gonna be that creates enough pain for this Cuntosaurus Rex piece of shit human being to finally have the fog lifted from his eyes and be like, oh, wow, I'm a really big piece of shit? Who taught this boy what being a dad is about? Who taught him? Was it his father? Somebody needs slapped around. Somebody needs to be sat down and have a firm talking to get to the bottom of where the this guy got the idea that this is how you be a father. It's supposed to be hard. In the beginning, you're both supposed to be zombies. It's part of the magic of it, really. Instead, if it's all on one person, like, oh my gosh, dude, not only did she just pop 2 babies out of her body, she had to be rushed to the emergency room. She almost died, and then gets home and you're like, all right, you got this, deuces. I'm gonna play video games and go swing my golf clubs with the boys because my life just keeps going on like nothing ever happened, except I don't get sex when I want it now. You have a family now. You have a family. You have children who you don't even know because you'd rather play video games and go golf than get to know your own kids. You'd rather go play COD and score terribly, hitting from the sand traps and from the rough and losing 18 balls on a course because why? Why? Are you afraid to like attempt to be a father to your children? Are you afraid to jump in and do the things that you know aren't easy or that you aren't automatically good at? Nobody is good at being a parent when they become a parent. You learn as you go. By choosing to not engage, you are choosing to fail. You are choosing to lose your wife and your children. How the this woman got to the point where she's like, maybe I did overreact. What? Also, like, OP, please tell me you've got family or friends or someone nearby that can jump in and help you, because having absolutely no help in the physical and emotional state that you're in with 2 babies there depending on you and having this asshat parade around like he's done something good with his life is unacceptable. It is unacceptable by the standards of humanity. It is not okay. And you know what, OP? The whole sex thing, I'd be like, look, buddy, when we did that before, this happened and this happened. I'll be damned if I'm going to let that happen again. You want to do the fun part and not follow through on anything at all. Not be a responsible man. You have a boy. You've got a boy, and that's it. You have another child. This guy, he's trash. He's ASCON 1. OP, you were NTA. This guy needs a wake-up call. I don't know what's going to be enough pain to create change for this monstrous piece of shit. I've seen wet shit that I like better than this guy. Candy Thunder, I want to know your thoughts here. Sweating inside this hoodie because I'm so pissed off. Ladies and gentlemen, to share her thoughts on it, which I'm sure are going to be very calm, very demure, is Candy Thunder.
If you don't like the word now would be a good time to mute your phone. I've said this I think twice, but this guy, one, I hope and I pray that this woman and any woman in this position, because we know that there are many women in this position, because I've already seen you in chat. I hope that you have support. I hope that you have support beyond your husband, because doing this on your own is one of the hardest things to do. And just sometimes it's harder to just walk away. And I think that it's important that we recognize that. But this guy can off. And when he gets there, he can off again. And when he gets to the golf course, he can off, because he is one of the biggest pieces of shit that we have ever seen in all of the stories. In all 2 years that we've been reading these stories, thousands of stories, you are one of the biggest pieces of shit. And I know that this guy exists in more than just this story, because I've seen it, we've seen it, and people are talking about it. And you for treating a woman like she's just there to have babies and that's it. Like, it's her job to raise them. But you know what? I hope that this woman does raise these children, and I hope that he gets no part in it, because break the cycle. What is it? Oh, it ends with us, because this is a form of abuse. And this, I don't know if he had a mom, I don't know if he had a dad, but whoever raised this piece of shit, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself that you let this man marry a woman and treat her like this. If this was a woman treating a man like this, I would advocate just as hard, because I advocate for people and not just one specific gender. And this is bullshit. Raise your kids to be respectful. Raise your kids to be members of society that can contribute. And when you have a baby, it is not on the mom to take care of that baby. It takes two to make a baby. It takes two to raise a baby. But my God, if that second one is another child, then get the out, because I want no part of it. If I'm not going to have someone there that can be in my corner, that can help me so that I can actually just take a nap.
Or shower.
What's the point of you being in my life? What's the point of you walking through that door? Like, I really, really, really hope that this woman has support other than this man, because
it doesn't sound like she does, though, and that's the scary part.
And there had to be signs before she got married, before she got pregnant. There had to be signs. And to me, the fact that she wants to know if she overreacted and that she's questioning herself means that she has been beat down in an emotional sense for a long time. Because no, you did not overreact. One, you were running on pure, like she said, pure adrenaline, no sleep. And you reacted in a way that is complete, like, at that point, you're like animalistic instincts. Like, you don't have your filters. You lose those. You lose so much of yourself when you don't sleep. And your husband just laughed at your face. So what the are you going to do? You didn't hit anyone. You broke his clubs. Warranted, I think.
Yeah,
I think you should.
He's
I think he should break more of his shit.
Unscathed. Like, he's lucky he got out without the head of that driver shoved up his ass. He doesn't.
Yeah, I would take the golf clubs to the game room, man cave, your man cave, you piece of shit. And I would take the golf clubs and I'd just start swinging. And I don't care. I do not care. This is just utter bullshit. And he knows it. The guy knows it.
Oh, yeah.
He's not scared of being a dad. This guy knows exactly what he's doing. And somebody made it okay for this man to act this way.
Which means his dad was probably this way.
But I don't care if you're, at this point, he's old enough. If you're old enough to have babies, you're old enough to make your own decisions. Grow the up, dude.